You ever get that feeling that the old rules just don't apply anymore? You know, that the way we work, the way we live, the way we connect with each other, it's all on the brink of some kind of massive change? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. This incredible global shift away from an old, broken system towards something new, something more interconnected. And our source material really sets the stage with this powerful idea. It's suggesting we're standing at this major turning point, literally moving out of the shadows of an old way of being and stepping into the dawn of something completely new.
So this is the big question we're going to explore. It's asking us to look at all the chaos and uncertainty around us and just wonder, is this really an ending, or is it actually clearing the path for something way, way better?
To really get where we're going, we first have to understand the system we're leaving behind. And our source material has a great name for it, a magnificent but deeply flawed machine.
This machine, it was built for one thing and one thing only: profit. I mean, just think of all those endless meetings about KPIs and quarterly reports. In that system, our well-being, our creativity, our sense of purpose, it was all secondary. We were basically just cogs to be optimized for the bottom line. And the problem wasn't that there weren't enough rules. Oh no, it was a total lack of vision. Our policies were obsessed with numbers, like GDP, but they completely ignored the stuff that actually makes life worth living, our spiritual and emotional health. It was a huge blind spot. So what was the result of all this psychologically? Well, the source calls it the me trap. It created this constant state of anxiety, of competition. It made us all believe we were in this frantic fight for a shrinking pie, and it ended up just isolating us from each other.
So you might be asking, what happens when a machine like this finally starts to sputter and break down? Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because the failure itself might just be the most important part of our evolution. We're encouraged to see things like the Great Layoff in a totally different light. It's not just some economic downturn. No, it's a spiritual divestment. It's a mass exodus of people consciously unplugging from systems that just don't align with their souls anymore.
And this brings us right back to that central idea. What if all this instability, all this chaos we're seeing, what if it isn't the end of the world? What if it's actually creating the empty space, the clearing, that we absolutely need for something new to be built?
This source has a really beautiful term for this: divine extraction. Think of it like a universal intervention. It's gently but firmly nudging us out of jobs, cities, and mindsets that have run their course. It's forcing us all to stop and ask that huge question, okay, what's next?
All right, so with that old machine breaking down, a new map is starting to emerge. And this isn't a map of countries or roads. It's a spiritual map, one that's charting the journey from a world of me to a world of we.
And here you can see the fundamental shift in mindset. We're literally moving from this old survival mode, this constant, intense competition, into an abundance mode, a place where we realize, hey, there's actually enough for everyone if we just work together for the common good.
This one really hits home. It captures the shift in how we see ourselves. You know, we're moving away from these fragile identities that are all tied up in our job titles, and we're starting to embrace our essence. This idea that our value is just inherent. It's not something you earn. We are all essential, irreplaceable pieces of a much larger puzzle. And ultimately, the very definition of success is being flipped on its head. It's shifting from what can I get for myself to what is the quality of my connections and how can I contribute to everyone's well-being. Our source calls this so beautifully the flow of the thread of love. Now, this new world, it's not being built from scratch, not at all. It's actually being built on ancient wisdom that kind of got lost in the noise of the industrial age. Let's look at two incredibly powerful blueprints for this new way of living. So the old system basically put us all in what the text calls a vocational prison. It took this rich, beautiful, multifaceted concept of our life's purpose and just squeezed it into one tiny box. How can you make money? And this is the real whole picture of Ikigai. It's a Japanese concept for our reason for being. You see, as that last circle, what you can be paid for, starts to diminish in importance, we're finally free to explore the much more meaningful stuff, the intersection of what we love, what we're good at, and what the world actually needs from us.
This brings us to the second blueprint, Ubuntu, which is basically the operating system for this new reality.
It's this profound African philosophy that just completely shatters the me trap by reminding us of a simple, powerful truth. I am because we are.
These are its core principles, and they're not just, nice ideas. They form the spiritual infrastructure of this new earth. They guide us to see ourselves not as separate little islands, but as part of a single interconnected whole. I mean, this quote just perfectly captures the entire transformation, doesn't it? It's all about moving from a mindset of defense, of separation, of building walls, to one of connection and shared purpose, building bridges.
So how do we actually get involved? How do we participate in this massive shift? Well, the source material is very clear. This is not a spectator sport. We are all the architects of this new reality.
And to make this really tangible, the text offers 5 dragon trials. Think of them as practical steps you can start taking today. First, spend some time reflecting on your ikigai. Then put Ubuntu into action with just a small act of service, expecting nothing in return. Next, listen for your Jules whisper. Ask yourself who you are beyond all the labels. Then, map your thread of love, charting your connections of support. And finally, start to deconstruct that me trap, consciously reframing a competitive thought into one of abundance. And this is the final, incredibly empowering message. In that old machine, you might have felt like a disposable part, a commodity. But this new understanding affirms your inherent, irreplaceable value. You're not a cog in a machine, you are the universe itself waking up to its own beauty. So, we'll end with this powerful question right from the text. It's a real invitation to look past all the temporary labels we carry and connect with your core essence. Because according to this new map, answering that question is exactly where your true journey begins. And those dragon trials we just talked about, well, they're your first steps on that path.